Back to this little chart here that we talked about a couple times. And major intervals again are 2, 3, 6, and 7. Perfect intervals are 1, 4, 5, and 8. And again, you always want to find the major perfect interval first. What did I tell you this arrow meant? What did I tell you it meant? I'm hearing somebody say it. Does everybody know what this arrow means? Does not mean up. What did I tell you it meant? Everybody, what does that arrow mean? Larger. Right? It's important that you understand that's what it means, because if you don't, you're going to be making a lot of mistakes on what we're going to do next. That arrow means larger. So an augmented interval is a half step larger than a major and a half step larger than a perfect. Larger. And it's important because when I'm working with a bottom note, here's my major interval. What do I have to do to the bottom note to make it larger? I have to lower it a half step, don't I? Because, Sylvester, what we're talking about when we talk about the intervals, we're talking about the distance between two notes. See? So I have to, in order to make that interval larger, I actually lower the bottom note. Now the distance is farther, so I've made the interval larger. Now let's go on, and so in the same fashion, this arrow means smaller. So a minor interval is a half step smaller than a major. And an interval a half step smaller than a perfect is diminished. We never have a minor fourth. Minor, never. Diminished is a half step smaller than a perfect. And then again, the next one is a diminished interval is a half step smaller than a minor, or I could say a diminished interval is a whole step smaller than a major interval. And again, it's smaller. So if I'm at the major and I'm going to make this interval smaller by moving the bottom note, what am I going to do? Raise it. So in order to make the interval smaller, I actually raise the bottom note. So let's practice this a minute over on page 147 on a couple of these. So we'll just go around the room one more time on these. Give everybody a chance to do one. So we'll start with Brittany this time. So Brittany, now this is important. So what do I have to find first when I'm looking at this? I know it's, what do you see? What's the first thing you're going to think of? Right. Okay, so an octave would be F. And octaves, but what do you think about octaves? What are octaves? You need to know if it's a perfect or a major interval. That's the first thing, folks. Major, perfect. It's perfect, isn't it? All right. So now you have the perfect, right? So now you need to make the diminished. So what are you going to do? Okay. So if I'm here, now is a diminished interval smaller or larger than a perfect? So how do I make it smaller? See, I have to raise that up, don't I? So if you can't remember, then probably most of you will have some trouble. I mean, sometimes it just happens that folks don't remember this. Go like this. Think about it for a minute. It does. It can really help you. So we raise it up to F sharp, right? Okay. Diminished. First, we found the perfect octave, right? Well, we're looking for a diminished octave, right? Diminished octave is smaller than a perfect octave. Correct? And in order to make that interval smaller, I have to raise the bottom note. Look at my hands, Sylvester. My hands are here, right? Here's the perfect octave. Are my hands closer together when I raise that? So that means the distance is smaller, right? So the interval is smaller. So what we're talking about is that the interval is smaller. And I talked about that when I told you that. originally. All right, so let's go on. All right, let's see, Mike. Augmented second below that note.
Well, C would be the first note.
Okay.
Twos are major. Well, either way, the augmented. So,
No, it's important. It's still important. I still want you to think of that. I still want you to know seconds are major. Good.
Okay.
You still have to find the major second.
Yeah, that's true. So, E flat.
Why?
Augmented means bigger.
Yeah, but did you find the major? You still have to find the major, Mike.
Oh.
You didn't. You skipped a step.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying you still have to find the major perfect interval. You can't skip that step, otherwise you'll get a bunch of wrong answers on this. So what's the major second above C?
It's actually already augmented then.
Major second above C is D, right? So C to D sharp. It's already augmented second. But you see, you still had to find. You still had to know that C to D is a major second.
I definitely did skip a step there.
You skipped a step. That's how you get. That's why you get a wrong. That's why you got a wrong answer, because you skipped a step. All right. Diminished fourth. Aaron. It's B. B to E is a perfect fourth, yes. I'd agree with that. Okay. So B to E is perfect fourth, right? But you started with E flat, so it's already diminished, isn't it? It's already, see, because you were right. You were right on. You said B to E is a perfect fourth, but then you just look up there and say, oh, it's E flat. It's already a diminished fourth, isn't it? Right? Okay, good. All right, major seventh. We're going to skip that one. Let's go to the next one. Minor sixth. All right, let's see. Matt.
So it would be E would be the sixth. And sixth is major. So, but key B, C would be sharp. So that would be a double flat. E double flat.
Okay, now just a second here. You did everything right. You said sixths are major, right?
Yeah.
Key of E is
C would be sharp.
C sharp. So E to C sharp is a major sixth. So what's E to C? Right? You said E to C sharp was a major sixth, but it's actually E to C. It's a half step smaller than E to C sharp, right? You with me? I mean, we got to be able to juggle this anyway. You know, if it turns out that we need to raise the bottom note to make it smaller or lower the bottom note to make it bigger, then we do that, but sometimes it might be the answer already. All right? Now, if you did say, if you wanted to go through the whole process and you said, hey, E to C sharp is a major sixth, well then E flat to C would be a major sixth. I need to make that a half step smaller, so it's going to be E to C. But I kind of skip. I can see that E to C sharp is a half step larger than E to C. Right? Does everybody see that?